Lack of pain, everything even clears up my sinuses.
I was amazed. My energy level had increased.
More comfortable, feel less stress, I'm sleeping better.
Now I can hike about 10 miles a day with no pain. I'm so pleased with the results.
Since I've been coming to Dr. Pietrek, the swelling has completely subsided in my knee. I no longer have any pain in my shoulder or my neck area.
My sciatica began to be reduced. My clarity came back, more clear in my mind, healthier, I had more energy.
The changes were amazing.
I'm on my third day of no hip pain, no back pain, and it's been wonderful.
I think it really has made an absolute difference upon my body. I think I'm already very in tune with my body as it is already, and now I just feel like he just took me to another level.
I'm so thankful and so pleased that I found Dr. Pietrek. He's been amazing, and it's great to feel good again.
Dr. Pietrek is awesome, definitely worth it. Gotta see him. He's gotta get here. He's really, really high quality, and he saved my career.
A 30-minute trip here and a 30-minute trip back now to see him, and it's still definitely worthwhile.
I drive quite a tremendous distance to get here, about 70 miles one way. I've been treated wonderfully here. I feel great.
About 90 miles.
I drive all the way from Hemet to come here, and my neck feels wonderful.
Now I've been doing work in the garden, I've been lifting stuff, digging and pulling. I'm actually doing more things than I've been able to do for a long time.
And it has now been 3 weeks, and I haven't had any episodes at all, not one little dizzy spell.
Him and Christine are such sweet people.
Since I've been coming here, the pain between my spine and my shoulder blade is pretty much gone. I can sleep. It's not keeping me up. I feel great.
I am 91 years old. I do not feel 91 years old. I feel like I did at 60.
It's just been amazing, and I pretty much tell everybody about him and hope that he can help other people the way he's helped me, because he's been doing really, really good work. And I think everybody should come to see him.
I can get help from going through so many different medical professionals and just trying everything there is. If I can get help, other people can be helped.
I just feel fantastic. In fact, I feel better than I had felt probably when I was playing college football.
Be my best healthy self here at Pietrek Spinal Care.
This was completely different, much gentler.
I am feeling amazing. I mean, amazing. I am sleeping at night where I wasn't before. I'm not taking any medicine, which I was taking before.
I have so much more energy. It's hard to even express. I was headed for disability before I came in.
Since I've come here, I have turned a complete 180.
I had a headache, and after that, the headache went away. I was just amazed about that.
I feel better circulation in my body and even better digestion.
Recovery and lack of pain, everything even clears up my sinuses.
I was amazed. My energy level had increased.
More comfortable, feel less stress, I'm sleeping better.
Now I can hike about 10 miles a day with no pain. I'm so pleased with the results.
Since I've been coming to Dr. Pietrek, the swelling has completely subsided in my knee. I no longer have any pain in my shoulder or my neck area.
My sciatica began to be reduced. My clarity came back, more clear in my mind, healthier, I had more energy.
The changes were amazing.
I'm on my third day of no hip pain, no back pain, and it's been wonderful.
I think it really...
Welcome, patients and friends of patients. Whether you're local or spread across anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world for that matter, welcome to the greatest show on earth, that is Pietrek Spinal Care. I'm going to be your ringleader this evening, Dr. James Pietrek. Been in practice a little bit over 16 years now, and the purpose of tonight's presentation is to help you to get more out of your care, kind of like a blender. You know, a blender has several different buttons, just like my keyboard here. And we kind of tend to make our own thing, whether it's smoothies or you like to puree some cake mixes or batter. And you find that owner's manual and you realize that, hey, you can do a lot of different things with this blender. And tonight's presentation, not only are you going to learn about how we get results for the condition that you came in for, you're also going to learn a little bit about a new perspective on the other potential benefits that you can have as being a patient here. I made a handout a couple weeks ago on how the side effects here are actually the benefits. How there's sometimes when taking medication, there are unintended consequences, things that we have to compromise, things that we have to give up, things we have to sacrifice in order to get the benefit. But here, every testimonial that a person has written, whether it was online or in person, or if they made maybe a video testimonial, as you saw here at the top of the hour, what we notice is people don't just talk about their pain relief. They usually come in because of pain, but there's something a bit more to it. And tonight we're going to learn about the history of upper neck-based chiropractic and really how it was pivotal in not only what we do here at this office, but actually in pioneering the advancement of the science of chiropractic, the philosophy of chiropractic, and the art of chiropractic. Now, those are maybe some words that you never thought of or equated to a chiropractic visit. Art and philosophy, science, okay, that makes sense. But the philosophy is really important because that's what keeps us from getting off track. That is what gives us our distinct, not only edge many times, but it prevents us from becoming diluted into just chasing over the next gold or shiny object, whatever insurance might cover, whatever the lobbyists are going to Washington and holding up a sign for in order to get approval for in terms of being on an HMO plan, for example. So what we like to do here, and in fact, this is the first reason that this is the greatest show on earth, is because, as you notice, things really haven't changed a whole lot. A patient brought this business card in from my original Miramar Road office, and I didn't even have a logo at this time. There's no really fancy graphics, but there is a saying right here at the bottom, and it simply says, optimal structure equals optimal function. And you know, in times like right now, it's good to know that certain things don't change. Our principles have rang true from day one. Optimal structure equals optimal function. It's a small truth, but you know what? It was true yesterday, it's true today, and it's going to be true tomorrow. And that's why this service is going to be around for a very long time. And my goal is to take care of not only you, but also your family members. Now, I got a couple of shout outs, especially to a Justin, and also Jose, Fernando, Andrea, Kathy, Fabiola, Tim, Luz, Venus. Welcome. I'm going to share some information that's not only going to be beneficial for you, but maybe even some loved ones, no matter where they're at across the country. Because the procedure that I do, NUCA, National Upper Cervical Chiropractic Association, which that's why we're not here at our office this Thursday or Friday or Saturday, because I'll be in Newport Beach for our biannual NUCA conference, or is it semi-annual? Yes, semi-annual. We have a couple of them every year. And we not only want you to benefit from this, but feel free to forward this link on to your family members, because there's probably a practitioner in the United States that lives somewhere around them as well. Now, here's why else this is the greatest show on earth. Our priorities are straight. You know, we need oxygen, we need air, we need water, we need food, but you know, you can live hours or minutes or seconds or days or weeks even without some of these things. Get my laptop out of the way. But without nerve supply, you can't live at all. And that's why I joke and say that the first study of the science of upper cervical, upper neck based, your atlas isn't this big. Maybe the one you used to keep in the car before GPS was this big. But, you know, the top bone in the spine, in the old days in France, they know that if they cut right there, if it was off with your head, that's the easiest way really to get rid of somebody. And here, we know that the relative size of the brainstem to your atlas is about like this. And so there's really not a whole lot of wiggle room. I alluded to what we're going to be covering here in the beginning as the then and now, the history of upper neck-based chiropractic, structure, function, and a little bonus if you stick around until the end. But we want to start out right now with the then and now. Now, remember this view of the atlas, top bone, also known as C1, on top of the axis. Remember that view, because we're going to come back to this hole-in-one in just a minute. But I want to highlight this guy. I think many of you know who this is. This is President Ronald Reagan. Now, did you know that his first job in show business was not in Hollywood? It was actually calling play-by-play for a minor league baseball team affiliated with the Chicago Cubs. And he worked for a radio station with the call letters WOC, but also WHO, World of Chiropractic, and with hands only. Well, it sounds like it's owned by maybe a chiropractor, right? Absolutely. It was owned by none other than upper neck-based chiropractic pioneer, the developer of the science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic, who fought so hard promoting, from which this presentation gets its title, the greatest show on earth. You notice this float over here. It says chiropractic, the greatest thing on earth. The guy had a circus elephant that he would ride down Main Street, Davenport, Iowa in the early 1900s. He even purchased this circus wagon from Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, also pictured in the bottom right, which apparently recently sold to somebody in Georgia for about $250,000. I don't know if that's true, but that's what the internet said, and of course Wikipedia is the authority on what truth is, so I'm sure it's right. But BJ really believed that this was the greatest show on earth, and he would do those weird things. He would travel the world. He was an author. He wrote about 50 books that were about that thick, and he would go to great lengths to promote chiropractic, not only to let people know what it was, because in the early 1900s, nobody really knew what it was. Chiropractic was discovered and started in Davenport, Iowa in 1895, but he also had to fight really hard to maintain the distinct uniqueness of our philosophy. Because if we diluted, we would have just become just like osteopathy and some of the other healthcare professions that had started around that same time. And as you know, a DO is basically a subspecialty of medicine now. And no one really even knows what a doctor of osteopathy even really does. That's nothing against osteopathy, but BJ could see into the future and knew that healthcare could easily be diluted if we didn't define our unique, distinct philosophy. So when I give a handout, oftentimes on a weekly basis, it really is based in those roots that BJ and others had developed, especially the 33 principles of chiropractic, which came out in a textbook in 1933. And it was way ahead of its time. It was based in quantum physics, which is basically where we get science right now. Tesla is an incredibly popular machine, and that's the name of the company. But even Tesla, Nikola Tesla, before then, back in the early 1900s, said that if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And what I want you to know when we talk about function, as we get into this some more, is we're dealing in the world of nerve transmission. Let's talk about that now. Here's that view I was telling you about. You know what else was discovered in 1895? Was a guy named Röntgen, I think he was German, discovered X-rays. And BJ was the first to use X-rays clinically in not only chiropractic, but also in line analysis and in identifying anatomical parts of the spine. He was also helped advance medical science in addition to chiropractic. And he knew early on, he had one of the world's largest, kind of a weird guy, again, a weird guy, but a fine line between weirdness and genius, I guess. He had these displays of human bones, and some of them were in this really bent over kyphotic kind of position. And he would study that, and what he concluded is that there were so many different asymmetries, differences side to side in the human body, in the joints, but especially in the atlas and axis vertebrae. Now here's some current studies that validate this, that validate that chiropractors, I'm going to take a stand here, that chiropractors should not be diagnosing upper neck problems just based on palpation. It's one thing to say there's an imbalance in the connective tissue over here, or there's a chronic problem versus an acute problem, and we can gain insight with their fingertips, and the fingertips are very, very, can offer very, very sensitive in ways that computers are not. But we certainly cannot tell the side that the C1 has slipped to, and we cannot tell the shapes, the very subtle differences in the vertebrae that we even think that we can feel, right? So this is the head, the atlas would be right here, the axis, that big bump right there is the first bump that you would notice as you slide down. But I gotta tell you that this part of the spine especially can be very bent. And these are just some current studies that show that chiropractors are wrong about 50% of the time when guessing, because that's what they're doing, is guessing which side the atlas has slipped to. Yet still in chiropractic colleges, again, I got to take a stand on this, because when I go to, not the NUCA conference this weekend, but other seminars, and I see other chiropractors in the back of the room just feeling, okay, right here, take a deep breath in, and then, like that, I'm thinking, what if that atlas is actually slid over here like this? What if they're like me, and this tip of the atlas sticks out way more on the one side, yet the neural canal, which is where the healing occurs, that's where we have to do our analysis, yet the neural canal relative to the atlas, it's actually slid over here. So then you're going to do a high velocity manipulation in the one direction. I don't mean to speak bad of my profession. I wouldn't be a chiropractor myself if I didn't get relief from traditional type of adjusting. But what I learned over time is that based on the unique angles, shape, anatomy, geometry, physics, how this actually moves, it's a synovial joint, just like your knuckle. It hardly takes any movement. There's hardly any friction to overcome whatsoever. So why are we going beyond the elastic barrier to get that, cracking kind of noise? Because the studies show that if that's done to the upper neck, a person might not ever recover from that. So they do it because they want to gap the joint to get the range of motion to be restored. But here, what we want to do is we want to correct the alignment so that the motion comes back on its own better over time. We don't want to offer therapy to the person. We want to correct the misalignment. So if we focus on cause and correction, then many times we can take care of many of the other consequential effects that are downstream. But our principle is not to diagnose and to treat symptoms and chase effects and offer weight loss to our patients. That's what I get on all these trade journals that come in that say American Chiropractor, Dynamic Chiropractic. You know, it's all weight loss now, laser hair removal, and it's kind of embarrassing for me to even say this, but I just want to point out the distinctness about why you made a very good decision to be here and get care here, because our principle will never change. We will never wander from that principle that optimal structure equals optimal function. Now, let's talk more about structure. And by the way, this is my spine. I was kind of a unique specimen during chiropractic college. Everyone wanted to be my partner. I'm kind of thin, so you can easily find the different landmarks on my spine and on my body as we're learning about the anatomy and how to take care of patients and everything. But another thing that people had noticed on me, again, is that you can feel, and I invite you, next time, your next visit, if you want, you can feel my atlas over here, and then I can show you a couple of x-rays, one of them being this. What I want you to notice here is that even though my spine is pretty crooked, and you can see how I'm kind of bigger in through here, yet skinnier kind of from this angle. Whoops, get out of there. Okay, you can kind of maybe see that difference, and maybe if I bend over a little bit, I'm not sure if that can be seen on video, but not only do I have those differences side to side, everyone always thought that my atlas was slipped out to the left, but what I want you to notice is really close. This is a zoomed in look here at the bottom. The joint of my skull is noticeably higher up along the right-hand side. So anatomically, it's higher up, okay? The atlas does not side slip perfectly to the left or to the right. It does not do that. It does so about a circle, okay? And you can even see that there, can't you? There's sort of a down slope right here, and there's another slope here and here. Well, we have to know the shapes of those surfaces, because if we don't, then it's kind of like taking a key and it doesn't go into the lock and you have to try to jam it in and you wonder why. But if we know exactly what the shapes of these vertebrae are, then we know that the true horizon even is down along this plane, let alone even what the misalignment might be. You know, that's the joint surface itself. So we already know that we have to come in at a certain angle to maximally correct this type of misalignment. And there's all sorts of other variations as well. All right, I'm going to play my chiropractor. I actually saw him recently, my first chiropractor that did this analysis on me. And he said, what kind of trauma have you had in your life that may have contributed to this? So I found this video on YouTube.
2nd and 11 at the 17. Tony Roller, he's played
this
a
is my
fine
last game. I think my
He's
second
got
to
to do
last
something
play
here.
ever.
He's under pressure. He lets it go. Hit as he throws. Davis is
That
there.
is not me. I'm not that fast.
Leandro Davis, 83 yards.
But I am coming from the bottom of the screen here. Number 1, of course, destined for C1 greatness. And every single season, the right side of my helmet was ripped up more than the left. And you can see that right there, can't you? And I bring that up because I think that it was the repetitive trauma to my head that caused the atlas to be higher up on that side. Now, amazingly, I have a pretty, I think, symmetrical head side to side. I don't have any major bumps or dents, or at least not a dent next to a bump so that it's really obvious. But you know what I found eventually? I found that I really wasn't all that special. I found that I wasn't that special because textbook normal is not typical. That is the rule. That normal would be the exception. Perfectly shaped joints, side to side. And why do I keep on bringing it back to this? Because this is structurally the weakest link. You got all this mobility up here. Okay, but with extra mobility, there's less stability. So it's structurally the weakest link. Neurologically, the most important, speaking of football, and I don't even care if it's the Raiders on TV, sorry if there's a Raiders fan out there, but if it's even a Raiders guy that gets injured and you're at, let's just say, Denver and you're a Broncos fan, you know, the whole stadium is going to go silent if they injure their neck. If they injure their knee, it's a bummer. If they injure their shoulder, it's a bummer. But if somebody injures their neck, it doesn't matter what team, the whole stadium goes silent, because even intuitively, we know that there's something special about the top of the neck. We know that. The old days in France, the king knew that, right? Again, off with your head if you weren't found in favor in the king's sight. And not only did B.J. Palmer, who the ringleader, who that is why the guy that Ronald Reagan, President Reagan had worked for, that's why it was his first job in show business, working for that radio station, not because of the radio station, but because of the guy that he worked for. He also came up with this concept of simply above, down, inside out. That was his philosophy on healthcare. Above, down, inside out. The autonomy of the individual body to heal itself. Let's just get rid of the nerve interference, tap into the person's resilience, let them spring back, and get the heck out of the way and let nature do its work. Let the body heal itself. You got enough DNA in your body to stretch to the sun and back like 6 times. You have millions and millions of miles of DNA. It's absolutely incredible. Let's not underestimate it. All right, you have 300, and I'm not saying not to get the vaccine or to get the vaccine, but I am saying that your body already has 300, like 3 trillion viruses in it, something like that, and you're doing just fine for the most part. Again, vaccine or no vaccine, do what you can to promote your body's own immunity so that you're less likely to pass it on if you were to get it. You don't want to suppress your body's immune system too much, because you want to be able to not only handle the current strain, but future strains, potential strains as well. Current events. Now let's talk a little bit about Facebook Live look-in. Bring your left leg up as high as you can. Okay, so right there, and we'll compare that to the other side. You see how that's restricted. So we're going to go ahead and give Erica an adjustment right now, and hopefully we get the leg to change as far as the motion goes, but definitely get the leg to come all the way down on the right side as we usually do. Because her spine is locked into this position. Her leg is short on the right side. She cannot lift her right leg up as well as she should be able to. Watch what happens now as I released the top of the neck, the leg comes down, and then watch very carefully what happens with her ability to raise her leg. Let's bring your left leg up as high as you can. Good, down, and let's try that right side. Okay. So this example right here, that doesn't happen all the time, but I do see this all day long, and it's the most rewarding part of my job. It's not what it is. It's not that the leg came down and that the leg popped up after the adjustment. It's what it implies. We didn't put a heel lift in there to lengthen her leg. I didn't do this to her hip. I didn't pull on her leg. I didn't have her stretch and hold and go to a class and hold this position for a half hour. What it implies is that since we did the work up here and we got the change all the way down there, and by the way, there's a lot of studies actually that show that is overall the best way to improve the range of motion of this joint right there, that straight leg raise test, is by doing something up top and not by doing a manipulative type of procedure down below. That's all really cool, but it's really what it implies. And it implies that the brain is working differently. And it's no wonder that when the top of the head and neck are off correct position and the weight of the head gets shifted off the center of gravity, when we restore that, the body is able to not be sort of turtle in its shell, reflexive, adaptive, compensatory, fight or flight mode. The muscles in the spine are able to relax, we're able to get that leg down, and that is why every testimonial that a person has written here, it usually comes down to, hey, I can move better, my posture's better, I'm thinking better, I'm thinking more clearly, I have less brain fog, I am able to sleep better, and therefore my energy is better, I'm at more peace, and I'm adapting to stress better. That's what people tend to say when they feel better, sort of connected and integrated. And again, it's because the brain is working differently that we actually get our results. I don't know of anything else in the world that can claim to not only improve one's posture and mobility, but also mental clarity, sleep and energy, and their ability to handle stress. And I'm not saying that every time a person gets adjusted do they have complete 100% peace in their lives. But just anatomically, due to the chain of reactions that have to happen just from that simple leg length test and straight leg raise test, because we're improving the posture by doing so little, what it means is that we're affecting the brain in very, very special ways. I don't know of anything that can do all four things by only doing one thing at all. And they call this really the wellness industry, don't they? But you know what, again, what BJ called it about 100 years ago, he called that above, down, inside out. Brain, body, get rid of the nerve interference, let the body take care of the rest. Above, down, inside out. That's how corporate structures are supposed to work. That's how government is supposed to work. And that's how your body works. That's how your conception from your development from a little teeny tiny embryo and a couple of cells, it formed from the top to the bottom. Your immune system works from the top to the bottom. Your digestion works from the top to the bottom. Your ability to decide that I'm going to walk is a top to bottom phenomena. Our adjustment here is top to bottom as well, and the healing occurs from top to bottom. And again, if we can't see it, we can't fix it, and that's why we take the types of x-rays that we do. All right, one other little anecdote to drive this home. It's neurological. These parts, these functions that I'm talking about go back to something called the vestibular nucleus, hippocampus, hypothalamus, and amygdala. And it's kind of like this. We're about to wrap up now, and I want to thank you for being with me. I just want to share a quick story. This is Frederick. All right. Now, some of you might think, "Oh, these are kind of abstract stories so far." Well, here's a guy with a Guns N' Roses T-shirt, a former Marine with a haircut like that. So we're getting all personality types here. So Frederick came to see me when I was on Miramar Road back in the day. He came hobbling in just as much as anyone else had in the past. And within a couple of weeks, he was feeling great. And he comes back and he says, he knocks on the door really early one morning. We weren't even open yet. He hands these two things to me. He says, "Mr. Pietrek," because he always referred to me as if I was a drill sergeant, "here, I just want you to know that if it wasn't for you and your adjustments, I wouldn't have been able to deploy to Iraq for the past year and a half. Here's a copy of a poem that I wrote, and here's a flag that I flew for you in Iraq." And it's one of the coolest things that I ever received. And this is not one of these rhymey Dr. Seuss types of poems. He talks about why he was there, for his God, for his friends, for his country. For that he would kill, for that he would die. That's why he was there. That's why he fights to die. He saw a lot of bad stuff. Marines being burned alive, and it's terrible. And the reason I say this, and I don't mean to gloss over the seriousness of this, and I've told this story 1,000 times, but I tell this story because it really embodies what we're trying to do here. It's a constant reminder that people don't come in here just because of their lower back pain or their headaches. It's because of what it is preventing them from doing right now or potentially doing in the future. And that's why we cherish everybody's story here. Even if I've never met you before, I want to hear your story. And not only does this person, Frederick, embody these 4-in-1 traits that I was alluding to earlier, but Frederick was also my first patient that I ever had. February 7th, 2005. So I feel practically like I have a duty to share his story, because so much of him is why I guess we do what we do. And I feel that his story had everything to do with kind of what we're after. Now, here's what a new patient visit looks like. You'd fill out some paperwork, we do an evaluation, and several tests to decide if you would qualify and be a good patient here and likely get good results. We want to qualify that. It really rides on our x-ray analysis though, which again is unique to our work. We take an x-ray from the front, the side, and top. We put all that information together, analyze it, give you a report of our findings, and if you decide you want to get adjusted, then great. That's the adjustment right there. As you can see, it's very, very gentle. And I want to share with you how you can do that. But if you're not local, then I want you to go to nuca.org so you can find somebody in your area. If you're not quite sure between this practitioner or that practitioner, shoot me an email. I probably know both of them or one of them, and I can maybe make a recommendation for you. So if you're local and you're thinking about being a patient here, or even if you are a patient here, great. We're glad you're here, and I want to share with you a special thing that I have lined up for you. I'm not sure if you can read that, but to thank you for being on our program tonight, we want to give you, if you're a new patient, your first 3 visits for $79 plus 2 free seat cushions. You can sit on it, as you can see right there, or you can lean back against it. I personally prefer to lean against it. This is a great support right there for your mid-back. You can see how the wedge fits right there. You know, part of our forward head posture is because our mid-back is rounded out. So if we can sit against a wedge or on a wedge, it helps to reset our hips so that we can sit up just a little bit taller during the day, be more productive during the day, have more left in the tank for those important relationships at the end of the night, and then maybe even sleep better and have better energy, better posture, healthier spine. And that's what it's all about. Now, one thing is we're limited on our foam supply. Believe it or not, the Texas storm from last month really affected the foam building industry, even in Pomona, California, where I get my foam supports from. And so we're limited on those. So don't be surprised that if I'm only able to give you 1. But if you're a current patient here, not only are you going to get that cushion, but you're also going to get a free visit. Sorry about that. You're going to get a free visit, and you're going to get the opportunity to spin and win. My spinner is over there, but basically you get to spin, and you can win a gift card for like Subway or Chipotle or Jamba Juice or one of those type places. So again, if you're an existing patient, you're going to get a free visit. You're going to get the ability to spin and win, and you're going to get a seat cushion, 1 or 2, depending on our supplies. I predict that I'll have enough supplies by this Thursday, which is April 8th. So if you want that, or if you want to be a new patient here, be sure to message us. Just scroll down a little bit below. Let us know of a couple of different times that work for you, and then we'll be sure to get back to you and let you know what works. Even if you're an existing patient, let us know that, hey, I was on the live stream, otherwise we wouldn't know, and I want the cushion, please, and we'll just make a note that you'll be able to spin and that you'll get that free visit. So again, thank you for being on with me, and if you have any questions, just shoot me an email, Dr. Pietrek at PietrekSpinalCare.com. You can also scroll down a little bit. Thanks again for being with me, and I'll see you at your next appointment. Again, shoot me an email if you're somewhere else in the country and you need help with getting a referral. Thanks so much for being live with us tonight. Bye-bye. I'll leave this up here for a little bit longer.